How we doing, everybody, and welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trag. I'm your host, Trag. It is Thursday, June 13th. It's a fantastic Thursday here in the great state of Wisconsin. Lots of severe weather moving through last night in the state of Wisconsin. Hopefully everybody is A-okay. I did see some tornadoes over in Minnesota. I'm not sure about Wisconsin. I did see some happening over in Minnesota. So hopefully, as much as I don't like Minnesota, hopefully everybody over there is okay. Everything gets cleaned up, and same with Wisconsin, too. A lot of severe weather moving through, and it looks like, according to the radars and everything like that, this next upcoming week here, this weekend into next week, it looks like there's a possibility of rain like every single day. That is crazy. It is going to be crazy little week there of, off and on, most likely rain showers there. But with that, lots to get into today. Brewers, they got the series win over the Blue Jays. We gotta talk about that. Talk about what we saw in that game there. Got some Packer talk today a little bit here and there and kind of see where the day takes us. So right away, I want to look at something I saw there that kind of ruined. It has nothing to do with sports. Nothing to do with sports whatsoever. But this has been a hot topic in the United States of America for a while now. And now it's affecting and if this you're about to learn something about me here that, I don't think talked about here on the show. We've done about 210 episodes now or something like that, and we have never mentioned this once. And that is my love of Star Wars. I'm going to be honest with you, big Star Wars guy. I love sports. Sports are my thing. I love talking about sports and everything like that. But Star Wars, I tell you what, I got introduced to it when I was real little. Always been a fan. Now, to get to the, I don't know if it's more of a comical thing in what's going on in the world right now or what. But according to a report that I saw, Star Wars is getting kind of blasted because they think that they should rename the, if you haven't watched Star Wars, there's a good side and a bad side, right? There's good guys, villains, good guys, bad guys. They call it the light side of the Force, and they call it the dark side of the Force, right? And, I'm getting really in depth here with Star Wars. But apparently, that is an insensitive wording. Apparently, it's too insensitive, according to Lucasfilm boss Kathleen Kennedy. She said it's not 1977 anymore. Times have changed and Star Wars needs to adapt. Are you serious right now? Are you serious? This has nothing to do... This is what bad... Okay, I don't want to get into this whole political or race or anything like that talks. I really don't. But this is what's wrong with America. This is what's wrong. This is why we're divided. We can't even let Star Wars name the good guys the light side of the Force and the bad guys the dark side. Are you kidding me right now? That's insensitive. That's insensitive. It has nothing to do. I'm gonna tell you this now. One of the main, as they call them in their Jedi, on the light side, is Samuel L. Jackson. Not a white guy getting thrown out there, right? So, it baffles me. It really does. I saw that yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I was like, when can I talk about it? Here we go. Start off the show talking about that. Just stupidity. Just stupidity all the way around. It doesn't matter if it's 1977, 2024. It doesn't matter if it's 1931. The premise has nothing to do with skin color. Nothing to do with it. Not at all. Racially insensitive wording. Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Just stupid. Just stupidity at its finest. So that's what I wanted to start it off with there. I just wanted to start off with a little bit of, I don't even know fully how to describe it, but just stupid. Just stupid all the way around. So with that, getting to some sports talk now. Let's get into some sports, right? Started out there, a little bit of Star Wars talk. Now we're going to transition to some sports here. Aaron Rodgers, back into the headlines, right? And if you didn't hear about Aaron Rodgers, he was not present at the offseason workouts for the Jets. Missed a day. Unexcused. He was not excused for his absence. And Salah's a little ticked off there. I mean, why did he miss? I tried to find out why he missed. And they didn't really, there's no like he planned a trip while he was rehabbing. I don't know, I don't know, going back to the dark room? Like what was Aaron Rodgers doing? That it was not, I mean, he had this thing planned and it's not like he could cancel. It was super important. That's what we heard. It was super important that he was, I mean, not at the offseason workouts, right? But he was at this whatever he went to. It was super important to him. And that's why he decided that he was just going to miss. It was not excused, but he just missed. Okay. I mean, if you're a Jets fan and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, last year we heard about his stuff with the Packers where he just wouldn't show up and he wouldn't work with the receivers. Now we're getting this guy where he plans out a trip during the offseason workouts and he planned it while he was still rehabbing, but kind of expected to be back for the season. Now he's not going to be here. If you're a Jets fan, are you worried? Are you like, what kind of guy are we getting here? I mean, what did we get ourselves into? We thought we were getting this, Hall of Fame quarterback who is going to be like a Tom Brady going to the Buccaneers or a Peyton Manning to the Broncos, where Peyton Manning kind of sucked when he was with the Broncos. That Super Bowl was the defense basically carrying them. But, I mean, not basically, they did. But, I mean, are you sitting there thinking you're wasting time right now? You're wasting time with this guy who doesn't really seem like he cares, right? I mean, he's talking about running for vice president. Like he's going to be a vice president. Okay, how much time are you going to have for football if you're the vice president? And this is not going to happen, but if you were the vice president of the United States, how much time are you going to have for football? Are you just going to show up on Sundays? Are you going to be, I might be at this practice. Oh, crap, I know I got something else going on. I gotta go take care of that, so I'm not going to be. Like, just it just seems like a New York thing, a roller coaster thing, right? I mean, you get your lots of personalities, but, man, this is Aaron Rodgers is taking the cake for, I mean, what are we even dealing with anymore? This is the epitome of a guy with too much control over what he can do inside of an organization and why the Jets just don't say, I mean, just get out. I mean, I don't get it. I don't. This is a disaster. I am glad that he got out of Green Bay before this disaster started. I really am. I am, because it seemed it was bad towards the end of his time with Green Bay. I thought the last season he was with the Packers, he got a little bit better, right? He was, he wasn't making excuses as much. He was taking the blame himself there. And I thought that was a stepping stone for him, kind of a maturing period for him. I really thought, I'm not saying that he wasn't a seasoned vet at that point, but, he's always making excuses. This guy's fault and this guy's fault. And this guy wasn't doing this right. And our offensive line wasn't doing this. And Matt LaFleur called this and we should have ran this and blah, 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 blah. He's always making excuses. But then that last season, I thought he got a little bit better. And then, he ends up with the Jets. And it just seems like it's a disaster from day one. He was present for all the offseason stuff, it seemed like, last season there. And, well, then he goes down with the injury. And then it's just, basically just a publicity kind of thing, then throwing the ball on the sidelines. Oh, my gosh, look, could he make a return? If the Jets make the playoffs, could he make a return? Like this big old just publicity stunt. And now it's, the same crap, different day. Like, I got this thing planned already, so I'm not going to be there. What is that? That seems ridiculous to me, if you ask me. I don't know. I'm just glad it's not in Green Bay, but I don't know how I'd feel as a Jets fan right now. How confident I am that this guy is going to be a constant piece who I can rely on to be a leader and be, to lead by example to some of these younger guys. They still have a young roster. To lead by example. You're a seasoned vet. You're a been there, done that guy, and yet you couldn't lead a horse to water if you were standing in the middle of ocean. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why the Jets keep I guess it does and it doesn't. It doesn't make sense why you would keep coddling this guy, but it does in the fact of you owe him money, and he is, Aaron Rodgers. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. You're just hoping that you can avoid the media crap and everything else, and you can just get this guy onto the field for a game and just hoping that everything works out right. Hoping he can play at an MVP level or close to an MVP level and try to take your team over top. That's the big reason why they keep doing this coddling thing. I would just get so sick of it. I really would. I would get so sick of having that in the locker room constantly. So, getting off Aaron Rodgers, sticking in the NFL, though, I want to talk a little bit Packers today. And we did see the Packers wrap up the 2024 offseason workout there. They have open training camp coming up in July. That'll be July 22nd there. That's when the team will come back there. And, they're opening up. They're gonna arrive a little bit earlier simply because they are opening. They are the opening regular season game Friday night of week 1 in Brazil. So they're going to start up a little bit earlier there. But, the Packers, they got through, it looks like, listening to Matt LaFleur after Thursday there. And he said, today is our last day. On Wednesday, he said, today was our last day. Typically in the past, we've had the last day be dedicated to team building event. I thought coming back to training camp earlier this year, I thought it was important to move this team building event to last week. We had a bowling event and everybody seemed to enjoy it, blah, blah. So the team seems to be meshing well. And that's first and foremost what you want to see is the team meshing well. Matt LaFleur sounds like he's in good spirits about this team. He said, and coming off his quote, he said, we've laid a good foundation. It's a good start. I feel really good about this group in there. So, Matt LaFleur is telling us basically like, hey, I feel good about these guys. We have a lot of returning guys. We have a lot of young guys stepping into roles now. But I believe in this group, and what we've seen so far is that, they have a lot of poise. They have a lot of potential on this team. You look at some returning guys from last year. The wide receiver room's back. You have Christian Watson, hopefully healthy. Romeo Dobbs, if he develops into his own, that is going to be a formidable force at the wide receiver room. And then also Jaden Reed. You got Bo Melton still in there. That guy's been playing fantastic. I heard he's loving on the cheese curds right now. Nothing better to hear that. And Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft in there in the tight end room. This Packers offense is looking good. And you look at the running back room there. A.J. Dillon, I saw some clips of him during the training camp there, and holy man, he has slimmed up a little bit. He's looking a little bit bigger, and man, oh man, he's looking quicker, and I'm not saying that he's the fastest back in the league by any means, but he's looking, last year it seemed like he lost a step. He was a little bit slower, and it seemed like when I was watching him, I was like, he seems quicker, faster off his moves, doing cone drills and everything like that. He was quicker through the shoots. And that was great to see. And then you add him in there with Josh Jacobs already. And that is setting up to be an explosive running back room right there with those two at the helm. And then, you're going to have some younger guys stepping in there. Emmanuel Wilson is in there and the guy out of USC that they just added in. But, you have I'm looking at the offense. I think the offensive line is fine. I really do. I think the offensive line's fine enough to win you games. Zach Tom, Elton Jenkins back there, Rasheed Walker. You're going to have Jordan Turner jumping in there too. You're going to have a good offensive line, I believe. Your wide receiver room is very good, right? And your running back room is excellent, I believe. Tight ends, fantastic. If Jordan Love gives us what Jordan Love gave us last year down the stretch, this Packers offense is going to be a dangerous one. I tell you now, this Packers offense will be dangerous, and I would be afraid to play a team like that if everything works out as we've seen from last season there down the stretch, right? Because down the stretch is where we saw this offense kind of come into their own, right? Matt LaFleur calling, I thought he had some fantastic play calls throughout games. Some fantastic games in total that Matt LaFleur was calling out there. And now seeing the offense basically returning just about everybody outside of some offensive linemen here and there, right? And Aaron Jones. This offense is poised to be very good, and that's not to mention the defense, right? The defense is looking like it is going to be great too. There is going to be a little bit of a battle there looking at the cornerback room. I would expect kind of a position battle between Carrington Valentine, and I believe it's going to be between Valentine and who am I thinking there? Who am I thinking? Carrington Valentine, and you're going to have other corners mixing in there. Eric Stokes, that'd be the big two right there, I would say. Eric Stokes and Carrington Valentine. If Stokes stays healthy, now you have to deal with Valentine too. I think that is going to be a big battle to watch. The safety room with Evan Williams and Anthony Johnson Jr. and Javian Bullard. McKinney's got one spot locked up, right? Who's going to be in the other safety spot? That's where I'm looking at those three guys and saying that is going to be a battle between them. You look at last year, you had Darnell Savage and Rudy Ford and Jonathan Owens. And those were your three guys. I could see all these guys getting some reps, getting some playing time in there. But who's going to be your outright starter? We're going to find out. We're going to find out here over time. I think, whoever, looking at the way that Heffley wants to play, aggressive, get after you, ball hawk kind of defense, is really going to rely on which one of them guys gets after you. And I love what I see out of Javian Bullard. I'll be honest with you. Coming out of college there, he was fantastic. Getting into the backfield, making plays at the line, getting under tight ends and receivers, whoever it was that he was, on that play. He looked fantastic. So it would not surprise me if he were to get the nod to be the starting safety, one of the starting safeties. It would not surprise me whatsoever, just the way that I've seen him play in the past. He fits what Heffley wants to do to a T. Another battle that we're going to see is, the kicker. Who is going to be the Packers kicker heading into the season here? I think it's going to come down to Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph. I think those are going to be the two guys to watch here. Jack Plodinsky, he's going to be in there too, but at some point, it's going to have to whittle its way out, right? We're going to have to, get it down to two at some point there and then see who's the best of the two. And, Greg Joseph has some experience there in the NFL, 4 seasons already. He's mostly been an indoor football kicker, and it's going to be different playing at Lambeau Field, but if he's a guy, I believe, who can figure it out. So I think that kicking competition is going to come down to Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph. And they've said that Anders Carlson has looked better here, but they told me last year he was looking good. And then down the stretch, we had problems. They say quarterbacks have to be good and everything else. That 49ers game could have been won or lost on Anders Carlson's kick, right? His field goal that he had an attempt on there and missed it. That could have been the game right there. It really could have. So, would you say that I'm not going to say that the kicker position is as important as the quarterback, right? I'm not going to say that. But what I'll say is that there are games that are won and lost on extra points, on field goals, on opportunities like that. And sometimes you would say that your kicker almost has to have the most ice water in his veins, right? He's got to be the clutchest guy on that field. You look at some of these kicks guys have made over the years there and how it has impacted the game one way or another there to affect the outcome. There has been a boatload. There's probably no stat for it, but I would say kickers have won a lot of games in the past 5 years, or influence the final score in the last 5 years by a crap ton, right? If you miss 4 extra points in a game, that could be the difference between a field goal loss or a win in that game there, right? There's lots of different ways to look at it, but they got to find something there in the kicking room. You got to have a guy you can rely on, right? That's plain and simple. I don't need a guy who, if I put him over 55 or even over, 50 yards, that he has to be money every single time. Would that be great? Yeah. But what I'm saying is when I put him 45 and below, I need that guy to be consistent, right? Maybe he misses one, but he's 9 for 10 over a stretch, right? Anders Carlson was so hit or miss for me that if he's anywhere near shaky, you need to make a change. I know you drafted him. I know you want to stick to your guns that this guy can be good, but sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and move on, right? Sometimes you got to bite the bullet. And this might be one of those situations where you have to. Maybe he floats around there and maybe he comes back at some point, whatever it is. I don't know. But you can't mess around for too long with a kicker, especially, because that needs to be a spot that you just figure out and then you worry about everything else, right? You have too much stuff to worry about than having to worry about, can your kicker hit from 40? Is he going to hit from 41? Is he going to hit from 35? That shouldn't be a worry that you're having there. So those are some of the bigger battles that I could see there, the position battles happening for the Packers. But outside of that, I mean, I saw coming out of training camp there, Rashawn Gary is going to get the defensive line together and work from now until July 22nd when they get back together there for the training camp. So, I mean, I love that. I love when I hear that players are getting their position groups or whatever together. You know, Jordan loved getting the offense together. They would always go on whatever to eat, right? And they would look through film and they would work, you know, figure things out together. I love that when guys go out of their way to get, you know, their team together outside of practice, outside of, you know, the office, whatever you want to call it, and they get them together and they work through situations and everything like that, get to know each other, get to trust each other, you know, get to know each other's tendencies, everything like that. That is fantastic. So I love seeing that out of Rashawn Gary. I hope that Jordan Love continues to work with the offense, getting them together weekly. And, I mean, outside of the facility and everything like that, getting together, working through, you know, flaws and everything like that. I mean, I love that. I would love to see the same thing happen all the way around on this team, because I think that really does benefit, you know, these guys a lot more than anything else there. So with that, I mean, that's about all I got for Packer talk for today. I mean, there's going to be lots of stuff happening. There's going to be lots of stuff happening over the upcoming weeks and everything like that. So we'll get into more Packers as the summer goes on here, especially getting into the July when we get into the training camps there. But with that, I got to mention the sad news that came out of yesterday, and that was the passing of Jerry West. That, I mean, a legend, a true legend. I mean, the logo. We're talking about the logo. And it sucks to say, it sucked to hear. I mean, we're talking about, we just lost Bill Walton not too long ago, and now Jerry West, right? And it's a sad day in the NBA, just like it was, I mean, not too long ago with Bill. Now it's the same with Jerry. Just a sad day. Passed away at the age of 86 there. I mean, you're talking about one of the most accomplished guys in a long time. And you're talking about a guy who was a general manager in the NBA, one of the league's first superstars, came out of West Virginia high school there and college basketball, played in the 1960 U.S. Olympics men's basketball team, all-star game each season of his 14-year career, 12 all-NBA selections, 5 all-defensive appearances for the Lakers there, won a single title in 9 trips to the NBA Finals, made 9 times. I mean, he lost 6 titles to Bill Russell, so Bill kind of taking away some titles from Jerry there, but I mean, man, crazy times. To see, I mean, just to hear that was not the news I was expecting to come out of yesterday. That was not the news I was expecting to hear. Truly a fantastic person, a fantastic basketball player, a fantastic GM. I mean, the guy knew the game inside and out. He was such an inspiration to guys everywhere. I mean, an inspiration to Michael Jordan, right? There aren't many guys out there who Michael Jordan says, you know, like, this was that guy. You know, and Michael Jordan had a great response to it. If you haven't heard it, look that up there. I mean, Stephen A. Smith was actually the one who read it for Michael Jordan. He texted it to him, and then he did read it on air there. But, I mean, just a role model for so many people trying to replicate their game after what Jerry had coming into the league. And, I mean, he was definitely a basketball genius and a defining figure of the league itself, and really, really put basketball where we kind of are today, right? I mean, he was a big influence in what we're seeing now in the NBA. And I mean, the NBA has gotten a little bit different from that time, but in all reality, I mean, we're seeing a fantastic figure in the NBA, and he just passed away. So condolences to I mean, a lot of organizations who are grieving right now because of the passing of Jerry, to his family, to anybody, family, friends, whoever it was. Prayers and condolences to all of them there. I hope that with time it gets better, right? I mean, it was a great life. A great life. That's all you can say. A fantastic life, a fantastic person, a fantastic role model, fantastic basketball player, and changed the game as we know it. And the logo, right? That's all. You always remembered him. You couldn't forget him because that logo just screamed to you. That was Jerry. That was Jerry there. So condolences out to the family there and friends of Jerry West there. But with that, before I want to get to the Brewers. I want to get to the Brewers today yet here, but before we get there, I want to mention some sponsors of the show here quick. First, Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Alaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Marshfield Motor Speedways, located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. You got to get down there this summer. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better. Nothing better on a hot or cool summer night. You got to get down to the track and check it out there. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether it was mowing the lawn, weeding the garden, whatever it was, and you felt something tear, pop, whatever it was, and you're like, ooh, I need to see somebody about this, see Chad at Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. He will get you right. He'll get you back to pushing that mower, back to trimming, weed whacking, whatever you were doing out on the lawn, back to work, whatever it is. He'll get you back there. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. Sports Scene, Sports Cards, and Memorabilia, located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. You got to get down there and see Al. He has everything you need. Sporting cards, memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all down there at the store. Sports Scene in Marshfield, Wisconsin. Your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy Sue or Anna to find your dream home or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. And also Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin there. But with that, the Brewers take the series, and they didn't do it without giving everybody a panic attack, right? Everybody had to have a panic attack watching that series finale there between the Blue Jays and the Brewers. So this one started out, Brewers were a hot mess. A hot mess once again in this game. Could not bring any runners in scoring position. The struggle was on right away. Had the bases loaded a couple times. Couldn't bring guys in. It was a struggle. Toronto got off to the 1-0 lead on a home run early in this game here. And outside of that, that was it early on there for scoring through the 6th inning, top of the 6th inning. Toronto put up a 0 there. Brewers came to bat then in the bottom of the 6th inning. And somebody finally blew up the dam, right? The dam was holding back all the runs. And somebody finally blew it up. And you know what my favorite part? My favorite part of that inning was the Brewers got it done with bloops, base hits, little things, putting the ball in play, right? Contreras, base hit to right. Yelich, base hit through the left side. My favorite part of that entire inning. So not just that Trag attempted to steal second, got caught in a rundown, ball got thrown away, Perkins scored, Trag ended up third. Not that part of it. My favorite part was Willy Adames goes 440-some feet to dead center with a home run. 2-run shot. Brings in 2 runs. Makes it 5-1 at that point. Next man up, Sal Frelick comes up, right? You're following a guy who just hit 445, whatever it was, 441. He went off the scoreboard. And you're following a guy like that, right? What does Sal do? First pitch, lays down a bunt down the first base line and beats it out, right? You go from hitting one 440-some feet, right, to the next one going about 10 and ended up with a base knock, right? It was just, I chuckled. I chuckled when I heard, couldn't watch the game. I was at work, so I'm listening on the radio there. Well, working in the cow barn, so you got the bellowing of cows going on with the voice of Lane Grindle, right? I mean, you get a little bit of good, you get a little bit of bad, right? So, I mean, got, listening to it, I couldn't help but chuckle when I heard that because I was just thinking to myself, 440-some feet on, the home run, and the next guy up, Sal, first pitch, bunt down the first base line. 10 feet, base hit. It's like, all right, that'll do. But it shows you the varying dynamics that when this Brewers team is hitting, when they're driving in runs, their ability to do it in all kinds of facets, right? Not just with the long ball, but putting the ball in play. And even Sal Frelick laying down a bunt and Bryce Terang making things happen on the base paths there, along with Blake Perkins, right? And Contreras stealing second base there to score on Yelich's little squib hit to left field that was deflected there. So, I mean, that inning, we saw a lot of little things. And it was something that we had talked about here on the show just a couple days ago was the Brewers' lack of hitting with runners in scoring position was, the fact that they're trying to do a little too much, we thought, with runners in scoring position. In this one, we saw the Brewers just poke it out there. Just put the ball in play, make things happen. Yelich, chop it to the left side, and ended up as a base hit, right? I mean, just the little things that we saw in this game that impressed me the most out of the Brewers hitting wise. I mean, still 2 for 8, right? Still 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position, left 11 guys on base, so still not great, right? Still not great. You left a lot of runs out there in a game that was still really close. So not going to say that, I mean, it was this fantastic offensive day for the Brewers, but great to see the Brewers bust out of it there in that 6th inning, put 5 runs on the board, a crooked number, and make things happen as we know they can. I mean, that was fantastic. Looking at the lineup, Yelich with a fantastic day, 3 for 4. Frelick, 2 for 3 on the game. Frelick has been continuing to hit, and I love it. I love what I've been seeing out of Sal Frelick as of late here. 316 over the last 7, 325 over the last 15, and 273 over the last 30. This guy has been he's been getting going, right? He's been getting going for the Brewers. Nothing bigger, Blake Perkins goes 0 for 3 in this game here, but Blake Perkins had that big walk in that 6th inning where the Brewers couldn't get anything going. The first two guys in that inning got out, right? There's 2 outs. Blake Perkins is strolling to the plate, ends up drawing a walk, and a huge walk, because that set up a great inning for the Brewers. So can't speak enough about that. Outside of that, I mean, Jackson Churro continues to hit the baseball, 2 for 4 on this game here. 286 over the last 7 games. He's been getting on, been doing things out there. So great to see in that aspect. Yelich, 3 for 4 in this one. He's got that average sitting at 325 after this game here. Last 7 games, 360 average. Last 15 games, 357. Last 30 games, 336. So Yelich has been hitting, right? And usually it takes him a little bit to get going. Usually it's in the dog days of summer that Yelich starts to find it. So hopefully this is good signs that it's going to heat up even more when we get to the dog days of summer there. But all in all, I mean, 11 hits in total for the Brewers compared to looks like 7 hits for Toronto, 8 strikeouts for the Brewers. I like that number a little bit better there, along with those 5 walks. I love those numbers. I love the numbers that I'm seeing there. Less strikeouts, a little bit more walking. Great stuff there for the Brewers in this one. Looking at the pitching staff for the Brewers, this is where, I mean, Tobias Myers had another fantastic outing. I believe he has, if I'm not mistaken, over his last, I was just checking that out there, over his last couple outings here, he has been fantastic. I believe it's over like the last 2 outings. He's got 1 earned run given up and has just been pitching fantastic for the Brewers. So I love that. I love seeing that out of Tobias Myers because they need a guy like that. They need a consistent starter. Tobias is slowly starting to be that guy for him there. So Tobias pitches well. Brian Hudson comes in. An inning pitch there. 0s across the board. 1 strikeout. Hobie Milner then comes in. Inning pitched. 3 hits. 3 earned runs. 2 strikeouts for Milner. McGill had to come in then and lock it down, get the save, or end up getting the save in this one. An inning pitch there, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout for McGill. And I mean, Milner has struggled as of late there. Over the last 10 appearances, 9 2/3 innings, 12 earned runs, 11.17 ERA over those 9 2/3 innings. He's a very important arm, but truth be told, I think the Brewers are over there. If you had to say that they're taxing a guy, overusing him a little bit there, that would be the guy that I would say would be Hobie Milner. I feel like he gets used more than anyone else out of that bullpen, and I feel like it might be starting to slowly affect him there. So, something to keep an eye on, but they definitely have to keep an eye on that because Hobie Milner is going to be a big piece for the Brewers bullpen down the stretch right now. You don't know when Devin Williams is coming back. There's other pieces throughout the bullpen that are slowly working their way back. Hopefully, we see this bullpen get healthier and healthier there, and we start to see some pieces start to form together, and Hobie Milner gets back on track, right? That is going to be a huge thing to watch for the Brewers. Looks like Joey Ortiz was a late scratch on the game on Tuesday there. Wednesday, he sat out again. Looks like he's optimistic about that hamstring injury. He said going to keep him out there we saw him sit out 2 games there. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have an off day today. So that could be big for him, possibly get him back for the Red Series. The optimistic says that he thinks he's not going to have any extended time off there, so hopefully see him come back into the fold. Garrett Mitchell is expected to possibly return on Monday for the Brewers. He's going to be in Nashville this weekend. They'll see how he produces down there and then go from there. Potentially see him make his way back up to the Brewers. And if he does, I've been running the hypotheticals through my head. If he does, I've never been opposed to putting Christian Yelich at first base. I don't think it's going to happen just because Matt Arnold told us no. So I would not be opposed to if you sent down a guy like Monasterio or you sent down a guy like Oliver Dunn and you brought Garrett Mitchell back. Now Sal Frelick could technically be your backup third baseman. He's played a little bit of time at third, right? We saw him in spring. He got into a game at third base this year. It was early on this season, but spring training, that was the purpose of it because they were going to have a loaded up outfield. They wanted to have pieces to float around. Sal Frelick can take time at third, be a replacement if needed, and that allows Garrett Mitchell to come back and play the outfield for the Brewers because this guy, we know he can hit. From the little bit we've seen, we know he can hit. We're hoping he comes back and that transpires up at the big league level once again. But, Garrett Mitchell's coming back, and I feel like you're going to have to find a spot to put him. So where are you going to put him? That's going to be something to watch there as we get closer and closer into next week there. I don't know if he will come back when he's, right away, when he's eligible to come back. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But could you see it? Maybe. I know he's at Nashville coming up this weekend here. I know he's been down at the Arizona complex there, slowly working his way back from that hand injury there. And it looks like down at the Arizona Cactus League, he has 2 hits and 7 at-bats down there. Looks like he's got 2 runs scored. He's 2 strikeouts in total, 2 walks, 3 RBIs down there. He's been hitting the ball. He's been hitting the ball down there, so hopefully we see Garrett Mitchell back up with the Brewers at some point here. We'll see. We'll see how this weekend goes for him with the Nashville Sounds, and then we'll know more heading into the weekend with that there. But with that, want to mention a couple of the minor leaguers who are on a tear right now. Some of the guys who have been playing well as of late here. Jeremy Vargas has had, a couple weeks now where he's been hitting the ball very well. 372 on base percentage, 553 slugging, 925 OPS, 4 walks, and just 2 strikeouts. Impressive stuff there out of Jeremy Vargas, putting the ball in play, making things happen, getting on base for the Timber Rattlers down there. And then also Casey Hunt in his first full pro season. He has the second highest K percentage right now in all of minor league baseball. Second highest K to walk percentage right now in all of minor league baseball. 99th percentile in swing strikeouts right now. 22 strikeouts and 1 walk in high A right now. 15 innings, 54-5 on the year. So fantastic stuff there out of KC Hunt right now. And then also Brian Fitzpatrick over the last 2 outings, 9 innings, 7 hits, 0 runs, 3 walks, and 10 strikeouts. So a couple of promising prospects there, a couple good pitchers, and Jeremy Vargas getting it done down there at the minor league level. But with that, that's about all I got for today. Great day, great Thursday episode here. Got into the Packers and the Brewers a little bit. Can't wait for more Packer Brewer Badger talk as the week goes on here, as we get into the weekend preview coming up tomorrow here on the show. But with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trade. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Thursday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river, I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.